Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Patrick Gunnels, Benter, Will Brax, Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Production, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Well, I guess you could say like Christians and stuff like that, just to simplify the matter. They think we obviously just serve God and stuff like that, right? But God also puts people, in places, right? In positions. And Christians just straight up think they can just not listen to anybody kind of thing, right? And just like be disrespectful. It's like they think they can come in somebody's house and tell you how to arrange the furniture in your house, right? Like that kind of level of, not being subject that, hey, this is your house, I should like abide by your rules kind of thing, right? Does that make sense?
It's sort of, I've asked you to stereotype, well, kind of asked you to stereotype, and you have, but now I'm like, well, you're a Christian. Is that you?
Well, I've noticed some things about it, but like, you see, how do I put it? Like I do work on being subject to those that are above me, right? Like I did notice some kinks and stuff like that I'm ironing out, let's put it that way. But how do I put it? Well, let's say like me running a Discord server, right? I have people under me and I have people over me, right? If I'm going to teach those below me to be subject to those, that are above them, I have to do the same, right? Otherwise, I'd be a hypocrite, right?
So there's a passage that goes something like, be sure to pull the log out of your own eye before you worry about the splinter in your brother's eye. Something like that.
Yeah, that kind of fits.
It's because people don't understand spiritual authority. Remember I told you that story, how the pastor pretty much rebuked me from the pulpit? The name of his sermon was called Understanding Spiritual Authority.
Well, wait a second. That was his house.
10,000 people. Here's the way I looked at it. In a church of about 10,000 people, Times Square Church, instead of getting offended, which I did at first, I said, well, somebody else told me. Actually, the best man at my wedding said, well, you can look at it two ways. You can get offended, or you could say, out of 10,000 people, Lord, you chose to get intimate with me and correct me. And that's what I did. I went to see him, and everything was beautiful.
Yeah.
People don't
Right,
want
a lot of
to
people.
correct anybody.
How dare you move the pastor's furniture?
But it's true. People don't. It's human nature. They don't want to be subject to anybody. Now, what was that pun?
There wasn't the pun. How dare you move the pastor's furniture?
But have you guys noticed that offense gets people to be disobedient, right? Like when people get offended, when you stop and think about it, you're actually being disobedient, right? When people get offended, they're like connected.
On the furniture part, it's just manners. I think for the most part, hey, that furniture doesn't,
Well, listen,
look good there. You need to move it there. But on your other subject, then it's just, the pride. Who are you to tell me something? That's just
Well, I was
pride.
going to
It's
say
like,
that.
whose ground are you on? First of all, are you at that guy's ground?
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
pride
said
gets
at
in the
first.
way of truth. Like if everyone put truth forward and truth first, a lot of these things wouldn't be a problem. Probably nothing would be a problem. It'd just be what it is, right? Like so that's what it is. People lie to themselves. They've been lying to themselves since they were children because that's the way some evil men have set it up here on earth. They've taken the cognitive skills of children, and they've confused them. And these are God's children, and as a result, they don't know how to tell the truth to themselves, and they don't even realize it. And these are justifications for why I'm prideful, justifications for why I don't want to hear what you have to say, justifications for why I can't assess where my position is versus where someone who's further along in their journey's position is. These are all problems because people don't know how to tell the truth, mainly to themselves.
Are we all God's children?
That I don't know. I mean, I would think, but I don't. I mean, you know,
I think
We're God's.
everybody's a creation of God, but you're not a child of God. Well, according to Scripture, you're not a child of God until you come to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, and then He gives you power to become the sons and daughters of God. At least that's the way I understand it.
Other religions
let me
are
let me
available.
read you guys a verse. Go on, Nathan.
I said other religions are available.
Exactly.
No.
Other religions.
Let me read something
Religion
from
is a term
let me read something from
bondage.
1 Peter 2:18. This makes it very clear for Christians who think they can be disobedient. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward. And there's many more that tells us we got to be subject to those above us, right?
Indeed.
Now we obviously
What
don't.
Christians think
Go
that?
on.
You said Christians think they could be what? I didn't get that part.
Well, some Christians think, oh, because you're a jerk, I don't have to be like subject to you. But you guys like remember David, right? Even though Saul tried to kill him, he was still subject to Saul. He wouldn't move his hand
Saul was the
against
king.
Saul.
Saul was the king.
Right. He was the king. So he was in a higher position than David, right? So
Correct.
David was subject to the
I
higher
don't think David would have
authorities.
been subject to a peasant. I don't think people need to be subject to ballers because it could be me, but I think you're talking about Discord
If the
and people on Discord.
well, the Discord is one thing,
Am
yes,
I
but
right?
it also
Settle
applies to
down.
other thing, right? Like we're not supposed to suffer as evildoers. So if you do something to land in jail, and it was a legit reason why you landed in jail, you did wrong.
Yep. He's definitely not getting all those virgins in heaven.
But
So what sparked?
yeah,
What sparked this? What sparked this conversation?
well, there's a lot of disobedience I'm noticing out there in the world, and even in God's word. Like one of the biggest problems is disobedience. People don't know how to
but
be obedient. And how can people be obedient to God if they can't be obedient to
You
someone
need
they
to
can
narrow it
see,
down. I
right?
mean, the whole scripture tells us that the problem everybody has is sin. So there's a lot of disobedience because we're all sinners. But now I need you to be more narrow. What is exactly?
because we're all
the subject?
liars.
Before you answer that question, how long you been walking with the Lord, Righteous? Just out of curiosity.
Isn't a pissing competition.
I've always been a believer.
Let's
For
not
as
do
far
that.
as I can
There's a
recall at
certain
the
time
moment,
when
yeah.
you gave your heart to Christ and you started walking with the Lord.
Please don't turn giving your heart to Jesus into a pissing competition, Neil. Please.
It's not a competition. I'm just curious.
I just want to know
with what
I just
I
wanted to know
resonate
the
with what you're
subject.
saying, Neil, because I grew up in Christianity, but I gave my life over not too long ago. After coming here, in fact, after bumping heads with quantum erasing.
Is that right?
So there's my answer.
Correct. And sometimes when I'm just saying, I'm not saying you are righteous. Don't take it the wrong way. Sometimes when I notice babes in Christ, because I did it myself. I went around with a hammer, just looking at everything wrong. And then a pastor got me and said, listen, focus on your walk with God. And that's it.
Jah be praised. Come on.
Yeah, you're changing the subject here. We were just discussing obedience versus disobedience,
Sounds
not
like
who's
you're saying,
holier than thou.
It sounds like you're saying know your place.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I was looking at all the wrong people were doing instead of focusing in on my walk with God.
Sure, but
You're gonna have that.
I think righteous
it's
point
people.
is people don't know their place. Am I wrong?
Correct.
Right, what an outrage. But you're entitled to that opinion.
When people realize they don't know their place, the person, everybody's got to know their place. Even the person looking at people that don't think people know their place.
Well,
Capisce,
all
paisano?
All right, hang on.
Okay, well,
Hang on.
just
Give
so
me
I
a
can-
minute. Give me
hold
a
on, Ted,
minute
hold
here,
on.
please.
Hold on, just one sec. Just so it's balanced out with a bit of philosophy. Wouldn't you say know yourself would be a better outlook?
Didn't I just say that?
I didn't hear you say that. I thought it was out of my words, but maybe you said it first and I just didn't hear.
Mind your own business, Nathan.
Well, yeah. Careful. Business, you say. Careful with the words you use there, 10th. What business would that be?
No, that was off of what Neil said when he was told to mind his own business. Anyway, my point is this. I went to different Discord channel and I was just being me on that Discord channel after 45 minutes of a baller, just twisting everybody around. I was actually working on some plumbing and I had the speaker on. And I was like, someone please stop the fallacies. And so for 45 minutes, I'm just saying, someone please step up and stop the fallacies. So finally, I got out from under the sink and I got on live and I just went at this baller by his fallacious statements. And so at that point, there was a change in who came to run that Discord channel. So they weren't there for the first 40 minutes or whatever. And then that person told me to shut up and blah, blah, blah. And I go, who are you? And so that guy and I got into it. And I said, look, I've been here. You just got on the shift. You don't even know what's been going on. So here I am at someone else's Discord channel, listening in context, responding appropriately. A shift change happens. Some other guy comes, moderator, decides he's going to not know all the actions or facts prior to what he's going to say, and then comments and basically saves the baller and offends me in the sense because he's not rightfully saying the right words at the time because he doesn't know the context. So next thing I know, I'm in the side room with two other guys because they kicked me off the show. They didn't want to discuss it on the show. And so we went to the side room, kind of find out the guy was drunk. The whole thing was a mess. And so what I did, I said, fine, I'll just leave. So I just don't go back because it's their channel. They want to run it that way. They're fine. I don't need to go there. So respecting authority to me is like, well, if I can't go on this channel and do what I do, then it may not be a channel I should go on. And so then I just haven't gone back and, that's it. So it's not my channel. Let them run it the way they want it. I got accused of, we're not Nathan Oakley over here. And I go, I'm just pointing out a fallacy. What does that got to do with Nathan Oakley? It's like nonsense.
More's the pity.
Yeah, what they mean is, we don't allow you to counter our arguments here. What do you think this is?
Yeah, so to Righteous's point, if you're somewhere and you're not the boss of that place and you don't like it, just leave. Don't try to change the furniture or rearrange everything. That's the way they want it.
Exactly.
That's right. Just like David with Saul, right? Saul was trying to kill David. He didn't dare move his hand against him. He left.
Same on YouTube. You know, people moan and bleat about the rules on YouTube. It's like, this is their house. Their rules. So you've got to abide by them. Don't like it, do the other thing. Go elsewhere.
So as the story goes, David chose to focus on himself instead and God's will and became King David.
The point is, David would not move his hand against Saul because he was king and he was anointed of
Hold
God.
on, but he let him know.
Right.
He let him know a few times. In other words, I could have killed you, Saul, but I didn't kill you.
Right. He said, "Far be it from me that I should move my hand against God's anointed."
But I could have killed you. Here's this piece of garment I got. You didn't even know it was over you.
Yeah, he could have.
What do you think about that pertaining to these days?
Yeah,
You guys all go out and wear masks because the authority tells you to?
It's just what I was about to segue to, Harp.
Well, if you're going in somebody's store and it's their rules and they won't let you in unless you wear a mask, then what are you going to do?
Good comeback.
You either don't go in,
You
either
pick
don't
another
go in,
store.
or you put your mask on.
Good
You
comeback.
pick another store.
That's
not
easy
an
to say.
answer.
That's easy to say now.
That's not an answer.
right?
Just one
I
at a
asked
time.
you guys what
Hold on.
you
Just
do.
one at a time. I heard Eli first. Hold on. Go ahead, Eli. I heard Eli first.
That's easy to say now, but when you have all of your favorite outlets to listen to, your radio stations, your TV stations, those people are kind of in the same way flat earthers are getting ridiculed now that it's been censored. The people who aren't getting vaccinated are getting joked on, right? So at some point, if you have to get vaccinated to travel, if you have to get vaccinated to have a job, that's the real test, right? What are you going to do then?
Well, let's keep it
I'm not
simple. You're
getting
overcomplicating it. Let's keep it simple with the store. Let's start
I'm not
there. Let's not
complicating it. I
blow
said
it out
what
of
I said
proportion.
for it to be dealt with, not to be put aside. Like the first
Let's
question I
start.
asked, right?
Look, you're going on to like another bigger step. Let's focus on a smaller step and get that sorted out. All right. So if
What do you
somebody's
mean?
house says you got to wear a
A
mask to
year
come in,
ago,
Hey, hold
I
on.
didn't have to
Hold
wear
on.
a mask.
Eli.
That was the smaller step.
Eli. You can't just give him the scenario, which is an appeal to the future fallacy in terms of your concerns anyway. But you can't just then rumpus him. You've got to let him reply.
I
not a
think he's
reply,
taking
though,
it
is
to
it?
like the next step. I think we should focus on a simpler step because then people can wrap their heads around something more easier. So let's stick with the magazine. You go in a store. If they tell you it's required to wear a mask, you got to wear a mask. Otherwise, they have permission to refuse you service. And if you don't want to wear a mask, then you can look for a place that they do allow service without a mask, or you can comply and wear a mask and accept service.
At what point is anybody going to answer my question?
I'll ask you a question.
When they answer my question,
Never.
Hold on. Harp did have a point in. I'm sorry, Eli. Just
There
let
comes
him
a
make his
time
point
when we
again.
need to rise up against the nonsense, though.
Yeah, just let Harp make his point again. It wasn't addressed. He's right.
Yeah,
Go on, Art.
so in these days, you go out and respect authority and just wear the mask wherever you go because authority is telling you to wear the mask. It doesn't matter about the stores. It's the authority is telling you to wear a mask.
well,
Oh, do
stores
you?
are private enterprises.
So you're
So
going
it's
to
like going to
dodge
somebody's
the
house.
question again.
Yeah, I like
Well, I
You're
want.
going to dodge the question.
God,
Can I
right,
This is a
interject?
yes
Stop.
or no
Everyone stop.
thing, man.
Stop.
Yes or no?
Well, guys, Eli, the moment you open your mic, everyone can't hear anything. It's just a bee's nest, right? And 4 people talking on top of that, no one can hear anything.
Can I interject here? Yes. Yesterday I was at a golf tournament, and of course the golfers weren't wearing masks. The caddies weren't wearing masks. So we went into the clubhouse, and all the workers were wearing masks. And I looked at the golfer and I said, "I'm not putting on a mask. You know that, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." He says, I don't think this place even enforces it. So I said, well, we'll see. So walk through the clubhouse, go everywhere. No one said anything. And what I observed yesterday is the people who felt like there was something to fear wore the mask. And the majority of people, I'd say like a 9-to-1 ratio, from people coming out of their house, watching what's happening at the particular hole from their porch, friendly, no mask, nothing. They don't give a hoot. Now, you try that going into Trader Joe's, they're like Nazis over there. They said, oh, you got to have masks to get in. And I said, okay, well, I'm not going to go in. I'll go to another store. You go to Ralph's, they don't even ask you. So, don't enforce it. There's a sign out there saying you got to wear it, but walking through the whole store, go through checkout, nothing.
No, it's the same
So
thing.
it just depends.
You get a knowing nod, too, which I quite like. The knowing nod, which started about a year and a half ago, which when I was just wondering about doing what I could to pursue a normal life when everyone else was locked in their houses, the people who are out and about would give you a knowing nod. Now you get it when you're in the petrol station. Someone else walks in without a mask and you walk out. You just give them a nod. And as you say, today as I was filling up the car, I noticed exactly the same thing. 90% of people didn't give a toss.
In New York, it's crazy though, because people are wearing masks outside in beautiful weather. But what works is you tell them, listen, I have a medical condition. I keep mine on my chin like a beard. So my last one was, listen, I have a medical condition. I put it on to respect others, but when I can't breathe, I'm taking it off because my medical condition requires me to. And they leave me alone.
But still, though, the authority says to wear it for the safety of others. That's what the authority says. Wear it for the safety of others. What do you do?
Are they saying that, though? The CDC's coming out with new things now. Like, these masks don't do anything.
I don't know. They definitely do. The train station, the subway station, bus terminals, anywhere you can think of, there are signs everywhere saying you must wear a mask.
Do you? Anybody gonna ever answer the question?
That's what the authority is saying. Yeah. Joe Biden is the president of these United States. You're not going to answer the question. He says wear a mask.
Nobody has answered this question.
All right, what's the question? If I wear a mask?
You're all talking about submitting to authority.
All right, go on.
Have you submitted to authority and are you wearing your masks like good little boys?
When I go shopping?
Oh my
Well,
God.
at first, I avoided. Listen, at first I avoided wearing my mask, but then after a while, they like basically won't give you service if you don't wear a mask. So I wear a mask to do my shopping.
So you don't submit to authority.
What's that?
So you don't submit to authority.
I do submit my authority by putting my mask on. The authority of the place that I'm going in. So if I'm going to a shopping center and they say you got to wear a mask, then I got to put my mask on.
Yeah, but there's got to be a healthy balance.
Otherwise they have the right to refuse me service.
Well, it's kind of like God, right? God's rules, right? You know, when he's not looking, you can do whatever you feel like.
Oh, right.
But
that's good.
Hold on, but what if the authority is putting you in a dangerous situation? You're going to respect authority because it's authority? Give me a freaking break.
Lord, listen, the Lord makes a way out, okay? The Lord makes a way out. If you're willing and obedient and you're in God's plan and walking on his path, you're not going to walk in the snares of the fowler.
Also, your God is omnipresent, so he's never not looking, I'm afraid, Eli. Unlucky.
Did you ever hear the expression, you're so heavenly minded, you become no earthly good? That can happen to people.
Yeah, there's useless people out there, Neil. What's your point?
Nathan, your mic's kind of low.
That's because I'm sat back.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, Nathan, since you're the authority here on your channel, can you go to Master B and look up the 3 slides I sent?
In other words, everybody stop the nonsense. Tent is taking over.
No, I'm not.
I'm kidding around, bro.
You always do that, Tent. You got the puns, and then when somebody jokes with you, you don't know they're joking or something. Right? I hear that all the time.
Hang on, did I send it over? Do you have it?
No, you didn't.
Okay, I'll send it over now.
Get him, Harp. Get him. Poke his eyes
Go,
out.
go ahead, Harp. You got a few minutes to get me.
Yeah, what? Get your answers?
No.
Neil kind of answered. He said, "Screw authority if they're going to hurt you." Right?
Oh, I just read Eli's message. Thank you, Eli. Considering what a
Done.
bastard I was to you about last week, oh, shut the fuck up. He's out there leaving comments, plugging the channels. Thank you. Way to make me feel guilty, Eli. Thank you very much.
All right, Nathan. It's up.
That's where you hit him. That's where you hit him.
Right. Okay. So I've got you up now.
I'm like,
Turn it back.
damn, he told Eli to shut the F up
Let's
before he
not
ever
relive
told
it.
me to shut the F up.
Let's not relive it.
It's not a bragging point, Neil. Come on.
Yes, I wear it as a badge of honor.
Oh, God.
Okay, shut up, Neil.
Okay.
Which slide do you have, Nathan?
I've got one with a pointy man on a circle at the top.
Yes. Okay, so we'll start there. So you've got that orthographic view. I mean, this is how they depict a dip angle, as if that's the way it is. And then you say, well, maybe I don't live on quite that size of a sphere. The second picture is, well, that's not quite what happens in life either. The third picture, that's less. And okay, maybe we're zooming in on that point, and the man's angle to the horizon's getting different. And then the fourth one, it's kind of there, but look at the last one. The last one is someone on a flat surface, and the dip angle is the height of his eyes to the plane that he's on. And that's what we experience, and that's what the Earth is. But they haven't depicted always in that top version, because it just visually says you live on this thing, when we never observe any of these angles that they show on the top four. Go to the next slide. And which one do you have there?
Octagon.
Yes. So you've got a sphere, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tangent points, right? Tangent lines. And then you've got a radius, and then you've got your 90-degree, your perpendicular. But notice how they draw the white line in this slide. It goes past the arc. It goes past the sphere until it meets something that's flat, which is a tangent line. And that's the only way you're going to get your angles. You can't have an angle to a curved surface, but you can get an angle if you measure from the center of a circle or a sphere, because you have a point. But the arc is the problem. So that's why they got these tangent lines all the time in their drawings. Now you go to the next one. And this is my slide that I made of how the sun moves over a flat plane, and the angles are caused by your angle to the sun. So the sun's GP is the sun's geographical position at 90 degrees zenith. And if the sailboat is in any one of those three positions, those are the angles it would have to it. And this is how navigation works out. And you need this angle, but this angle can't happen without that tangent line, that plane below it. It's got to, you can't get an angle from a curved surface, as this shows. So the only thing they do is they said, well, where can you get an angle from a circle? Well, there's only one place you're going to get an angle from a circle, is if you go from the radius, but you'd have to be measuring from the radius. Well, they're measuring from the surface here of the Earth, which is a plane, no one's going to the center of anything. So again, the imagery is there to say that sunlight is coming in parallel. So if we measure from the radius, then it's the same angle on the surface that it is from the radius. Yeah, but number one, no one's measuring from the radius, so that's out. Number two, sunlight doesn't come in parallel. It comes in divergent. So they're wrong on both counts, is what I'm saying. So that's it.
Cool. Thank you very much. Hey, John.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Very well.
Good morning.
It's quiet in here. What's going on?
We're being respectful to authority.
Yeah, right.
Hey, John. No, I was on mute. I was saying hi, and I'm saying, how come he's not saying anything?
Hey, Dan.
So that means no more over talking Nathan, then, right? You got all that sorted out.
Don't touch your face.
Just got to learn to accept that it's his show. He gets to eat.
You
Don't
gotta
hold
wear
that
your
against
mask
me.
while you're listening.
Well, earlier we were talking about doing the other thing, right? So 10th man objected to a way something was moderated. He's like, well, I don't want to be here then. So he did the other thing. Well, as much as people will criticise me and say you're in an echo chamber, it's like, well, actually, why is this platform in existence? Well, because I did the rounds. I went on plenty of other people's channels and despised the way I was treated. So I was like, well, I'll do the other thing. I'll set up my own platform and I'll be in charge. Now, since that, people go, oh, you're going to come to mine? No, I don't need to. I'm a YouTuber, I produce videos, and I've got an open door policy. So if you want to debate me, you can. Do I want to debate you? Not in the slightest. Done that, been there, got the t-shirt. Now I'm not interested. So when people are like, you're going to come and tell me blah, 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 or I might... No, I'm not. But obviously you've got a desire in my direction. My direction's desires are not yours. So, don't confuse your desire to debate me with my desire to run my channel and my show with an open door that allows you to debate me if you want to. But, generally speaking, my desire in the other direction is zero. I've got absolutely no desire to go anywhere else. And people go, well, that's because you're in an echo chamber. Yeah, fine. Clearly you haven't been here very long because I've done the rounds.
Well, they claim you don't. They claim that you don't have a debate show, Nathan. That you hide in your bunker, and when anybody comes on to debate something, you just don't allow it. Overtalk them, mute them, so they can't be heard. So that's what they say.
Can I add something to that?
You can.
I noticed being on Discord and stuff like that, there really does have to be a leader that's guiding a conversation. So whether it be Nathan or somebody else on another Discord channel or another YouTube channel, there has to be somebody that's keeping it together. And
an MC.
Yeah, and Nathan seems really good at, like, say what you will about Nathan, he seems really good at keeping it together.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Sane, Neil, 10th Man, Eli, Father of a Stolen Child, Arwin joining as a late arrival, and a whole bunch of people on Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning.
Hoi, hoi.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm watching an ad on your show about Chris Hadfield teaches space exploration.
Oh, wonderful.
That's
Nice that
your
NASA
ad.
are putting a few shekels in my pocket.
master
Good
class.
morning.
Buenos dias, señoritas.
Please watch the ad.
So are you saying Nathan's being funded by NASA, Arwen?
Technically, yes. That's what Arwin is
Yes.
saying. I'll take it. I'm poor.
Or it's for damage control. It's just like, oh,
That's awesome.
You know,
I would call it damage control. I mean, I might do a small appeal. So, not that it's relevant to this particular subject. It's another one of those things that I watch just so that I'm detached from the subject if I'm watching YouTube videos. So, aside from cuts on my £600 life, I don't know why I've ended up watching that. Nevertheless, one of the things I've taken an interest in maybe over the last 12 months was the court case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Now, according to them, if you even say that person's name, he who will remain nameless, they get their videos demonetized when they're covering the subject. It's not that I'm about to cover the subject in any meaningful way. But what I found interesting was when they're highlighting some of the hypocrisy in this court case, one of the guys who promotes it heavily is a guy called That Umbrella Guy. And That Umbrella Guy, when he's covering particularly interesting or juicy details about the court case, will give a slightly more extended appeal for action to his audience. And that appeal will go something along the lines of, this is important, you, the audience, are the most important, thank you for being here first and foremost. But feed the algorithm. It likes the likes, yummy, yummy likes, subscribe if you haven't already. But make sure you share this information far and wide. It's important. The mainstream aren't covering this. You'll only get to hear the pro-AH side of the argument from the mainstream press, is what he says. So it's very important that you share this video. Now, I'm not saying I in any way disagree with him, but when you parallel that with what we're talking about, hello, ladies and gentlemen, did you know you've been deceived about the very nature of the reality you take part in? Yeah, please share this show. Because by comparison to his very meaningful appeal when it comes to court information, this subject matter is far more critical to people's general well-being. As a flat earther, I am considerably happier knowing where and why the deception has taken place after extensive study. But that information is most definitely suppressed, right? And the mainstream will tell you it's a sphere. So in terms of his appeal, I was listening to it thinking, my appeal to people to share the show needs to be better, because I've got a far more worthy cause than a couple of millionaires fighting over defamation, right? So please share the show. I just thought I'd add that at the beginning with a bit of caveats and why and where, the whys and wherefores of why I'm doing it in a bit more elaborate fashion. But I am very passionate about the subject. We are definitely suppressed. So please share the show. Anyway, let's do housekeeping. Any evidence?
I always share.
Thank you, Neil. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Nope.
the Blackpool Swan picture.
Epic.
Wait. It's
Apparently.
2021. People still think the horizon has an address.
Yeah,
What's going on?
Yeah, definitely. Chocolate. Did anybody catch the McToon channel at the weekend? I listened to it on Saturday morning, so I think it happened on Friday night. Austin, Witsit Gets It, debated a guy called Septic Tank. And Septic Tank thought that the horizon was the geometric sphere, but in the debate, he agreed that it was never seen. And when cornered, Austin was saying to him, well, if it's never been seen, how do you know it's there? And he says, it has to be there to give you a horizon in the first place. And he couldn't accept and understand the point. He even brought up Black Swan as an argument, right? And Austin said, look, Black Swan proves that the horizon's not actual, it's apparent. And he could not get through to him that you can't calculate the geometric edge. You've got to measure it. And when he was asking him, eventually he gave in and said, yeah, all right, we haven't got it. We just calculate it eventually. But he didn't quite say it that way, but he got bullied and battered into the corner where he had no other way of going with it. But then Austin got connection issues and he dropped a couple of times and it totally lost the momentum. But Septic Tank was getting absolutely decimated. It was like Tyson. Imagine Mike Tyson and how lethal he was in his heyday against somebody like Rocky. You could never knock Rocky down and keep him down because he'd always get back up again. But you could knock him down 15 times in a round and still, like, he wouldn't go down and stay down. Well, Septic Tank was like Rocky. He was getting pummeled after pummeled after pummeled after pummeled, and the guy would not stay down. And he kept referring to the stars. Austin was losing his temper. It's an absolutely glorious decimation. And shout outs to Austin. He got the actual horizon point correct with the black swan. He said that we removed the horizon being the geometric sphere edge. It's an apparent location. So massive shout outs for getting the correct point that was being made with black swan. But guys, if you've not seen it on Friday night, Saturday morning, go and watch it on McToon's channel. It's absolutely glorious. It's brilliant.
You back off your mic.
I don't like the analogy with Rocky, though.
Yeah,
but if he essentially started with, the horizon isn't seen, he's essentially punching himself in the face.
Yeah, he admitted it and
Exactly.
Austin jumped on it.
Yeah, they're claiming they can measure Earth's geometry, and their argument starts with the horizon. That's Earth curve. So the moment they say, well, we don't see the geometric horizon, it's like you're saying, we don't see Earth curve. And when they say, well, the horizon we do see is caused by the Earth curve we don't see that only exists in the maths. That's essentially what he was presumably trying to stumble his way to. Well, it's no get out to say that the horizon we see is caused by a mathematical apparition that doesn't exist beyond the maths on the page. That maths on the page and its geometry, which is hijacked perspective, is going to be used to claim the horizon is in a fixed location, causing obstructions to things beyond it. And when it doesn't quite match up, we'll add in the atmospheric effects with a radius value that physical geometric horizon is required to acquire.
Nathan, we're on the housekeeping point of, is there any evidence of, what was the housekeeping question we're on?
Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curvature?
Right, I need to present my screen because this is glorious. This is 2 points in the 1 point. This is two birds with one stone, so just bear with me. Austin is trying to get the guy to calculate or to accept that the geometric horizon can be no further than, the 3959, 1.225 times the observer height in feet. And he was starting to take him through the sums, right, so that he can point to where the geometric horizon is. And the answer he's looking for is 1.225. But do you remember how GeoStreber was being whispered to in the background by Sean Huffroad when he was having the one-to-one with me? And we knew that they were being fed info, but we've never really had any positive evidence. Well, we've got another example of it, and I've even prepped it for the show just for you guys so that you can hear it. It's glorious. This guy, Septic Tank, is being fed in the background information by somebody either in the room or on the same feed as him, and you can hear him giving him the answers, right? And I'm sure McToon hears it because he accuses Austin of the exact same crime being fed information whilst this guy's being fed information. It's total projection. I'm going to put my screen on, Nathan. If you wouldn't mind presenting it, I'll make sure I patch the sound through.
Just for a correction, just a minor correction. It was GeoStreber and Soundly, just for the correction.
Oh, was it? Well, yeah, we said it was Sean in the first place, didn't we? And it wasn't. It was, apologies, Sean Huffroad. I got you wrong at the time, and I got you wrong again. But the point still stands. Somebody was feeding GeoStreber on a one-to-one in exactly the same way that this guy, Septic Tank, is being fed by somebody in the background or on the same line. And I've trimmed them out here. I'm just going to have to do a sound check first and make sure that you guys hear it. So just let me do a sound check, Nathan. Just let me know that you guys can hear this when I start playing.
No.
Did you hear that?
No.
Very light. It came in very.
Just no one else tell him, please. No.
Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure that the let me just hang on a sec.
I'll just take you off screen while you're doing it. Fiddle around till you get it, and I'll tell you when we hear it, and we'll talk amongst ourselves while you fiddle. But yes, it was. I'm pretty certain it was Soundly that was heard in the background.
So you guys couldn't hear that clearly then?
No, it's just coming through your speakers. No, we can't. You haven't routed it through your desk. You just need to click B1 or B2, whichever you've got it routed through.
Yeah, I have done that. It must be settings in thingy. Voice meter auxiliary input is that.
Live show.
Oh, this is going to be rubbish if this doesn't work. Auxiliary input is that one.
Anthony, please don't mutter about technicalities. We'll do the housekeeping. Just try. I don't mind if we get some audible background interruptions while you're trying to figure it out. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, I still had a comment on the horizon, if I may.
Yeah, you may. Of course.
All right. So they say the radius is 3,959 miles. So back to what Anthony was alluding to. So if they're saying that there's a geometric horizon and there's an address, it's based on something. You got to base it on something. So they're basing it on 3959. So that's why the black swan is set up as a modus tollens and says if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles p, in every horizon distance, measurement, not calculation, measurement must be no more than 1.225 times square root of the observer's height in feet cubed. So when it's not there, then they got to admit it's not there. And since it's all a calculation, and when they show you pictures of the Earth and from the second law of thermodynamic violation, see, we live on this thing. Well, great. If we live on that thing, then there has to be an address at 1.225, right? But there isn't. So they've never measured it. It's always been a calculation. It's always been shown in an orthographic view. It's so funny that these people will say it's there.
So you're saying I can't take a cab there because that's not the 1.22 is not actually the address. That's the wrong address.
No, no, because I had a boat chocolate and I set out to sea and I went, I think, 20 miles out once for fishing from Newport Beach. And I could see the horizon. I could see Catalina Island, and I just set a compass heading and put autopilot on. And that thing was as flat as can be. And the further I got out, it just kept. It never changed. It was always there. I never reached anything.
Well, did you put in 1.225 Horizon Lane or Horizon Drive?
No, I didn't. No, I did not.
The
But
problem is that they've never calculated, they've never actually measured an R value because they can't.
Correct.
Exactly. That's what the basis of their maths is, the R value. And the moment they refract or move
which is
the
an
horizon,
assumption.
they can no longer measure it. Well, that's the end of their claim. Now, it's taken 18 months for this to start sinking in. But without that straight line to a tangent, that's the basis of their maths in the first instance. As soon as they bend it, it's game over. Can't do the geometry anymore. If you haven't got an R value to acquire, then you can't do R-based geometry. You certainly can't refract a horizon into a non-geometric position that won't allow you to perform the maths with the R value that you got from that tangent point that you're moving, which is what they do. It's nonsense. But, like I say, it's going to start catching up with them when they start to make assertions and we start looking at the curve calcs again, exactly as we've done. #thanks cats. You know, they don't realise how devastating the black swan is. They didn't realise for 18 months. Now it's come back to, okay, let's have a look again at your maths. Fortunately, a transitional piece of evidence has been claimed as a flat earth killer. It's like, okay, let's have a look at it. It's a black swan. Wonderful. So we can reassert our black swan argument and start poking you about the geometric horizon you haven't got anymore and the perspective that everyone's discussing currently. Let's just cut to brass tacks with this whole nonsense. It's not in the curve maths. All these people talking about perspective, it's not in the curve maths. Globe Earth maths does not include perspective. That's it. So if you're ever arguing with them about elements of strawman perspective they're claiming we claim, just ask them. All right, it should work like this, should it? And by it should work like this from a globe believer, they mean I'm telling you how you're going to be calculating it so I can pull apart that straw man. Just ask them where it is in the curve maths. Oh, right, it's blah, 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 feet converted into angular size at a varying rate and a varying scale. Where's that in the curve maths? Just ask that from here on in. Everybody watching, any of this Blackpool Swan comes up and there's any assertions whatsoever made by the globe side in regards to the word perspective, just ask them to show you that in the curve maths. That should be your next response. All right, That's how it should work with perspective, is it? Where's that in the curve maths?
Yeah, but they don't accept the black swan. They claim refraction.
Yeah, that's fine, until they realise that there are fractions based on an R value. You say, okay, you're a fraction 7/6 of a radius. So where'd you get the radius? Well, they don't.
I
All
can
lines are
explain
bent,
where
they haven't got a
with the
tangent
videos.
anymore. How are you getting on?
In refraction, you mean still optical?
It's all optical. Yeah, when they were telling us Fleur perspective, chocolate, you were there, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, perspective is something you guys made up. One of you Globers actually said that here 4 years ago.
Or it only applies in art class.
Are you serious? And now it's your argument? That's hilarious.
No
Pathetic.
one ever said that, Chocolate and Nathan. No
Oh
one
shit,
ever
my bad.
Yeah, that's come home to roost as well. So the defence of the black swan, well, we don't ever claim that we've got a geometric horizon. Yeah, I've let them say it for a few weeks. Now it's time to start rubbing their noses in it. Especially, I mean, the timing's beautiful, really. The very people who are here claiming a geometric horizon, drawing out tangents and showing them us with their maths, are now the very examples I hold up when they tell us that. What's that? No one claims the horizon's Earth curve. What about these people claiming the horizon's Earth curve and drawing tangents to it? Well, they said it was refracted. No, they drew a tangent to it. Definitely not. And to do the maths, they needed to draw a tangent to it now, didn't they? Where do they get that tangent from now to do all that maths? What's that? They don't have one? Well, they're not going to be doing the maths then. All that maths they did back then was all void then. All of it void. And now our argument that was made in the first instance in defence of that calculator, before we realised what it actually was, a begging the question fallacy on steroids, was where's the perspective? And now what do you know? Our opponents, the very same opponents that no longer have a tangent for that maths, are talking all about perspective. Well, happy joy. Where is it in that maths that you drew tangents with?
You may need to replay them shows, Nathan.
I love the
they're
way
all
you
there, man.
confronted.
If you want to
But
go back
he was
and
just
check.
doing the oversimplified version, Nathan.
Oversimplified? No. The thing when they say it's dumbed down, the reality is, to do that maths, they must have a tangent. Now, the black swan takes that tangent away, meaning they can no longer acquire an R value, so they can't defend this black swan with refraction, but ultimately it takes away their straight line required to do the geometry. That's what it actually does. That's the black swan in essence. It destroys curve maths. Now, back in the day when we were begging the question alongside with them and talking about how much things were refracted with respect to a tangent-based Earth curve they thought they were proving, we can now hold them all to task about that geometry again, because there's a very beautiful segue between people who formerly drew tangents, as would be required to make those geometric assertions, and their now lack of that very straight line, a tangent. Beautiful.
Yeah, but how do you get by that? Because then they say they don't need a straight line. They just need a tangent point. And then they talk about two curves can make a tangent point.
Yeah, I've dealt with that on multitudes of occasions. The moment it first came up. So all they're doing is butting one up to another and one circle or sphere up to another and saying where these two meet, I can have that point be a tangent point and have a straight line intersect where both circles meet at a point. Yeah, a tangent's still a tangent, and a tangent point where two circles meet is just a minor obfuscation they use for people who don't have any compunction to go and actually check what they're talking about when they butt one circle up to another and say, look, a curve from this second circle can meet the first circle, I'm assuming the sphere Earth is, at a tangent point. You go, yeah? Well, a tangent point's a point where a straight line's meeting one or both of your now circles you've introduced. So you still need a straight line for it to be a tangent point. That's what a tangent is. So while they might try and do that with somebody who doesn't really understand what tangents are, they won't get away with it here.
The calculations require triangles. You know, that's what the Pythagorean theorem was based on. You know, that line, the tangent, is not curved. The minute you curve it, you're not going to calculate anything with it.
Yeah, the black swan argument. Like I say, it's taken 18 months for it to sink in. That the moment the line is bent, I mean, it doesn't matter that we tell them we wanted them to say that. Literally, it won't matter that we say, yeah, we want you to say refraction because your geometry needs a straight line. So by implication, the moment you say this line is deviated from straight, well, not a tangent then. That's the last death knell for the argument of a sphere Earth. But after 18 months of us telling you, yeah, refraction makes matters worse for a globe belief, they still say it, because it's going to take a while for the dumbos to catch up. What do you mean, bending the line means I can't do the geometry? Well, that's too far, a step too far for the idiots we deal with.
You said once, and many times actually, you don't have a tangent line to the geometric horizon if it's refracted.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, that's
So
the essence of the argument.
Yeah, that ends the argument. So the black swan invalidates the geometric horizon. Now, all along, prior to this, they're giving us the reasons why boats are disappearing bottom up and the bottoms of lighthouses. Oh, that's over Earth curve. That's why. And so we're saying, oh, okay, where does this Earth curve start? Based on the 3959, it's a number. It's actual. If it's real, if we live on a sphere, at 1 foot observer height, it can't be no further than 1.22 miles. So what's the distance and what's your observer height? Sorry, it doesn't work that way. And that's when they die. But they don't want to admit that's where they died, so they come up with refraction. Well, then great. Then you don't have a tangent line to the geometric horizon. If it's refracted, you lose there too.
Well, I keep hearing them argue that all you have to do is go up a little bit higher and look out on a clear day when you can see a really clearly defined horizon. Then you can do your measurements.
No, that's incorrect. So as much as they might want to delude themselves with that, and they won't be corrected by anybody on their own side, in their model, they have standard refraction at 7/6 of a radius, always occurring refraction. Standard.
Wait, so standard
There are
refraction
no-
doesn't take into account weather?
All lines to everything always are always bent. Now, we've known that since the Isle of Man. Everything's a hologram. There's no position that you can see ever where you have a direct line of sight to it. It's always refracted at the rate the sphere globe geometry says it is. Why? Well, because it needs the light to track around a sphere. Well, why? Well, because light does actually move in straight lines. Yes, we experience refraction, negligible amounts, but ultimately speaking, you are just looking at stuff that's just straight in front of you and is where you think it is, for the most part. Now, that can't be the case if you're on a sphere. So they need light to bend itself back into what you actually see. So they refract it around the sphere at a presupposed rate. Nothing to do with anything that actually describes how light behaves. The rate is mathematical, 7/6 of a radius value. That's what you've got. That's your refraction in a globe. Maths, that's what it is. Nothing to do with light transitioning through different anything. Nothing to do with Snell's law, nothing to do with anything they'll describe when they do describe refractive effects or looming. It's like, yeah, they'll describe them and sound very educated, but at some point they'll just change it for their 7/6R presupposition that light's bending around a presupposed spherical Earth at the rate of a radius that's been derived in standard form at 7/6 of that radius. That's what they'll do. Well, that's not refraction. That's 7/6R. They call it terrestrial.
They're not bending light. They're bending the ground. The radius is the Earth.
Yeah. The
Are you
light
changing
bends.
the size of the Earth to prove the size of the Earth?
Yes. It's begging the question fallacy on steroids. And why? Why would you need to do that? Why do you need to make that presupposition? Well, because we just see stuff and there's nothing occurring. That's why I say when we look at some lighthouse far away, it's not, well, it should be this far beyond the sphere. No, it shouldn't. It's just a lighthouse. You're just looking at it. What's the big deal? There's no explanation required. If you want to label it with a distance, fine. But you're just looking at a lighthouse or a clock or anything else for that matter. But then they impose their begging the question fallacy and say, no, it should be blocked by this much Earth, curve, sphere, edge, horizon, geometric, tangent point. It should be blocked by that much. The reason we see it is because it's been refracted up. Up in relation to the horizon that's physical that we're proving here when we fudge the numbers with refraction that bends it all back into being straight. It's like we don't have to explain why we see something that we just see. There it is, we see it. That's it.
So as it turns out, the snipers that make 2.5, 3 mile shots are really bad shots because they were shooting at a hologram, but they hit their target. So
if you assume that there should be a geometric sphere edge tangent point horizon that was claimed to be blocking the bottom of the Isle of Man, if you assume that, and then you assume that because you can see the thing, it must be the case that light has bent around that sphere, even though you can't see the sphere, or any obstruction thereafter. But because you can see the target that you're looking at with what would be a straight line of sight, it's not a straight line of sight, it's actually just bent around the sphere at a presupposed rate determined by the maths. No, you're not seeing a hologram just because you assume that you haven't got the Earth curve obstruction that you should have, therefore hologram. That's absurd. You just see it, it's just there. And as a flat earther, I am owing nobody an explanation for why I can just see something. Now, we have tricked, when we enter the subject of flat earth, into giving a justification with a sphere earth presupposition attached. Why do we see, quote, too far? What do you mean too far? I just see I've got a set of eyeballs. It's not too far. You mean, it's too far because I should assume that a sphere edge horizon gets in the way. And when it isn't, I'm seeing, quote, too far? No, I just see it because it's there.
Yeah, people still say that.
Imagine being asked, why am I seeing the things that I'm seeing?
You've got eyeballs.
It's there.
Yeah, you've got a set of eyeballs.
Are we still in housekeeping?
It's the sign of true fundamentalism when you've got somebody asking the question, why am I seeing this thing in front of me? Why are you asking that question? Well, I'm asking that question because my belief is I shouldn't see it. Well, why shouldn't you see it? Well, because my belief is something's in the way of it. Why do you believe something's in the way of it? You can see it. Well, because in this maths, and then they get their sphere Earth belief out of the way and explain how Earth curve that should be at a certain distance isn't at the distance I'm expecting it to be. Therefore, I'm seeing too far. Should have Earth curve in the way, obviously. So you understand now that the thing we're seeing we shouldn't be seeing. Well, now we need to explain why we're seeing the thing we're seeing, because we shouldn't be seeing it. It's a hologram. It's a mirage. Is it? Why? Because we shouldn't be seeing it when we're seeing it when you assume we shouldn't be seeing it. Yeah. Obviously, I've got a globe belief. Doesn't this all make perfect sense? Not really. I'm a flat earther. I just see a clock. And I go, clock. End of my explanation.
It's almost like the same thing, like, it's the gravity's a force, but it's not really a force, but you can think of it as a force. It's like the same nonsensical buffoonery that, like, how are people trapped by this? I don't get it. It's 2021.
Well, when they're taught this, they're not told that the geometric horizon is purely a theoretical construct, not anything you could see or measure. They're because that's what it is. It's just a construct. It's never been measured, but they show you the orthographic view. They show you a picture of Earth from so-called space that's not real, and they say, well, see, it has to be. But, well, can we double check and measure it? Where's curves start? No, we've never seen it. It's just a theoretical construct. Well, I'm sorry, but you're bound to your mathematics. If you're going to be in mathematics, it's got to be at this place at 1 foot high, 5 foot high, and it's not. So maybe you don't live on this thing that you think you live on.
I can show you how to measure the horizon.
Say again, Copo.
Okay, so first you need to measure the radius, of course, and you don't need a tangent in order to measure the radius, because the thing that you're doing, well, I'm going to explain the process to get the radius I explained in other debates. So you go to a place which is at water level, you lay down, and you see when the sun comes down, and just when the sun disappears, then you stand up, and you stand up. You stand up and you wait for the sun again to fall, and then you don't have to make any triangle with the sun. So if it's really refracted, it doesn't matter, because what you're taking is the interval of time between the sun goes down where you are laid and when the sun goes down when you are up. and then you can get the radius with Isar, and then since you rotate at 15 degrees an hour, then you get the radius plus your height, and then you can join that and make a triangle, and then by some math I'm not going to explain because it will be really difficult, you get the radius, and then with the radius you can measure.
You mean you can't explain the maths?
I
mean, there's loads of problems that you mean you're not going to actually give us the maths. Why not?
I mean, it's not that. It's because it's going to be really hard for me to explain. I can send you a link or a paper or whatever you want. It's going to be difficult for me to explain,
okay.
So you can understand it entirely, and it's going to be boring for
yes,
the
okay,
audience.
thank you. Bloody hellfire. Yes, please, send it. Stick it in live stream.
Okay.
A couple of questions.
Yeah, give me a minute.
Okay. Let me know when you've done it, and then I've got a couple of questions about the statements you made.
I'll say afternoon flurpers whilst I'm here. All right, guys.
Hello. Good to have you, Adam.
What's up first, buddy?
Power.
So, are you ready for my first question in regards to the sun going down? Did you say down? What do you mean by that? You there, Coppo?
Yeah, I'm here. I send you the link.
Thank you very much. So,
okay.
You stated that the sun went down behind the horizon?
Yeah, yes.
What does that mean exactly?
That you can see it no more because, you can see it no more. That's it.
Yeah, specifically, I'll try again, second time. The word down.
I mean, down from...
Yeah, just
down.
bear with me. Just bear with me. Thank you. You also mentioned that because we're turning at 15 degrees an hour, and you mentioned down. It's okay. You can wait till the end of my statement being repeated. Thank you.
Yes.
So when you say going down, and you assume turning sphere at 15 degrees an hour, I'm trying to ascertain why you would make those assumptions. Specifically that the sun is going behind a physical horizon, down behind it. That's an assumption of the very thing you're trying to prove in the first instance. So why have you made that assumption about the physicality of the horizon for its qualities of obstruction? And why would you assume that the sun is going down behind it? Specifically down.
Okay, so I said down because from your perspective, it is up and then it's down. It travels from up to down. So that's why I said down. Of course, the sun doesn't move around the earth. I mean, it's just from the perspective from which you see it. And what was the other thing?
Sorry, why are you demanding that? That's not an explanation for your presupposition. That's a demand that I accept it.
The what?
God, it's like pulling teeth. You've made a presupposition that Earth is rotating, and as a net result, the sun, which you've also now caveated with it's not moving, we are. That's a lot of presuppositions that involve the horizon being a physical obstruction that blocks the sun as it goes down because we're turning. Now, all of those things aren't proven in your statements. They're all assumed. They're all presuppositions. Do you know what a presupposition is?
Yes.
Okay. So every statement detailed now 3 times were presuppositional by nature. Going down, behind the horizon, Earth turning 15 degrees an hour, sun stationary, not moving, moving because we're turning. These are all presuppositions. Now, when used in a statement to claim you can prove by way of your presuppositions that you can acquire radius values, that's called a begging the question fallacy. Do you understand?
Yes.
So what you have done is fallacious, not an acquisition of R, a demonstration that you know how to assume the very thing you're trying to prove. So this is fallacious. Do you understand? Therefore...
yes, but I can...
Yes, but... Shut up! So, your argument, my friend, is void. Not yes, but... It's been ripped to pieces by way of its flaws in logic. Fallacious logic. Now, you can shut up. Do you understand what I am telling you to do? You don't have to respond. You close your mic, shut your mouth, and appreciate how fallacious you are. Okay?
Okay, but I can...
Good! Shut up! While I tell you, you haven't got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon for the sun to go behind. You telling me it's going behind the refraction we're told that the horizon is now? Is that what the sun was going behind, the refraction? Dipshit. No, you no longer have a physical horizon for the sun to go, quote, down behind. Because it's apparently a non-physical refracted location. So what are you telling me? You're proving that you can acquire geometry and radius values when the sun goes behind refraction? Utter nonsense, friend. Also seated in fallacious reasoning.
Hey Nathan, there's a GIF I posted in Master B or the War Room that you might want to have on screen while we're talking about this because it's kind of funny.
In Master B, all right, the sun that's... yeah, epic.
Yeah, I thought so.
So he zooms in on the sun and it comes back from behind the refraction that we're told the horizon is, because we're told it's not Earth curve. No one claims that. Obviously, you just presupposed it in your statements, the guy that I've just told to shut up.
But can I explain the things I supposedly presuppose?
Presumption mathematics.
Sorry,
Nathan,
can you hold on, Adam? He's just asked if he can explain his presuppositions. No.
Yes.
No.
No, why?
Why would I allow you to beg the fucking question?
Dude, you understand presupposition is...
Are you a fucking imbecile? Are you a complete imbecile? You want to explain your flaw in logic and justify it?
I want to explain the things that you have problem with.
The things that you beg the question of?
To explain it.
You want to explain how you beg the question and justify it? No.
But I can explain everything you have problem with.
Really? Let's start with the sun going behind a physical obstruction called the horizon. We have this argument called the black swan that debunks that notion. It's now claimed that we do not see a geometric horizon. Where are you going to go now, fuckwit?
Okay, two things. You don't need a physical horizon to measure the radius because the sun going down, it's not a...
It's not going down behind it, you stupid clown. So it's not going down behind this non-geometric horizon then. So what the hell is the sun going behind? Down? It's not going behind a geometric horizon then.
So then when is it going?
Yeah, I think you better sit the fuck down, shithead. Yeah, you're being humiliated. You want to continue?
Nathan,
what's it going behind then? What are you watching?
Yes.
What are you
where is it
watching then?
going if it's not going behind the horizon?
So you're asking me, it's your claim. Sorry, why are you asking me? I thought you wanted to justify your begging the question. And you're asking me questions about your dipshit claim that hasn't got a geometric horizon for the sun to go down behind. You want to ask me questions? It's your claim. You're pissing me off royally.
Sorry.
Stupid Fundy. Sit down and shut up.
Is he looking at...
Okay,
can he look at the GIF? Do you still have it up? Can he tell us how that's going down? That'd be cool.
Yes, it's
Are you looking at the live stream, brother?
Yes.
You're looking at the live stream. Is there a sun in the live stream?
1 second, I have to.
Not in the live stream text, the YouTube. His show.
Yeah,
right
yeah, I'm going there.
So it's behind the, well, it's not Earth curve anymore. Let's just say behind the refraction. Because it's not Earth curve to make your claim make sense anymore. That's been debunked by the Black Swan, and we had a couple of words and then a bit of a silence from you. Yeah, that's where your argument goes to hell. And no, you're just zooming in on this sun, and what do you know? It was behind, not Earth curve, but let's call it refraction, and then it isn't, just by zooming in. So, again, you claim in the first instance that when you look at the sun and assume it went behind Earth curve because you're turning at 15 degrees an hour. Yeah, that simply isn't the case, though, is it? That presupposition's just yet another one of your presuppositions that are absolutely unjustifiable and debunkable and are being debunked on screen right now. But what? You're going to justify your assumption of a physical sphere edge you don't have anymore? Black Swan, mate. Still on that little point. You wanted to have it out on that point. I've got very cross with you. Black Swan, you don't have a physical sphere edge for a horizon. What the hell's it going down behind?
It's going out from your point of view.
Proving what?
It's going out from your point of view. Your
so
eyes
the sun
throw
sets
a
down to my point of view then. So really, the sunset's an optical effect. My point of view. So about my view then, precisely dick to do with the geometric physical sphere edge horizon that people typically on the ball side say it's going behind. That's until we debunked it as a sphere edge horizon, of course. So it's my point of view causing the sunset then.
I mean, it's
like maybe you don't
the
get
sun
it. That
going from what?
It's just you stuttering and stammering, mate, about what the sun does. What is the sun?
The sun is a ball of gas.
Uh-oh.
I mean, the thing is that if it's not a ball of gas, what do you say it is?
Sorry, I asked you.
I will be pleased to hear your response.
How the hell do you know that?
Well, I mean, I didn't go to the...
You're stuttering twat. You haven't got a fucking clue what the sun is, but you're telling me what it does and what it goes behind.
What? Can you repeat, please?
I said, and I quote, "You are a stuttering twat. You haven't got the vaguest clue what the sun is, but yet you're telling me what it does in your descriptions that acquire things from horizons that used to be Earth curve. This is humiliating."
I mean, I don't need to know what the sun is because I can see it and I can measure its movement. It doesn't matter what the sun is.
Its movement?
And also,
sorry, are we relinquishing one of those presuppositions? You said it doesn't move earlier.
What? No.
You said it does not move. We move at 15 degrees an hour. Now we're studying its, quote, movement. Are you relinquishing your presupposition? Are you going to talk through me? I'll ask again without you talking through me. So that presupposition, that quote from your lips, the sun does not move. That's what you said. Horrifying, isn't it, when it's parroted back to you? What? I said it doesn't move when I've just said I'm going to measure its movement? Yeah,
Nathan, do you know what that reference system is?
Don't talk through me, scum-fundy globe believer. Yes, paradoxical as it is and horrifying. What? I said it doesn't move? Yeah, you did. It was pointed out as a fundamentalist religious belief you hold in presupposition when begging the question. Now it's horrifying when I quote it back to you because you're literally calculating, quote, its movement when it, quote, doesn't move. You stupid idiot.
Yeah, Nathan, sorry, I had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, no shit. Mental breakdown, you're measuring things that don't move and how much they move when they don't move. Yeah, that's because you're a globe believer.
No, Nathan.
Yeah, that's what globe believers do. Simultaneously tell you that they're going to measure the movement of things that don't move.
depending from your reference system, the sun moves or the earth moves and the sun is static. It's I didn't
false dichotomy that I've just railed out as another fallacy. Do you know what a false dichotomy is?
It's a fallacy. It's science.
Yeah, it's false dichotomy, not science. What's your independent variable? Science, my ass.
The thing what
independent variable. What's the controlled, varied, manipulated cause of the effect? Presumably the effect is what we've got on screen, this sun setting behind a no longer Earth curve horizon. What's the cause of that?
The cause of that is that we are in the Earth rotating, so there's a point in which we can see the sun.
Stop! So you're independent. Stop!
Stop!
All I asked was what your independent variable was, and you've told me Earth rotating. So you understand and appreciate that a variable needs to be varied. Now, bearing in mind, I've already pointed out that this is not something that is true. It's a presuppositional statement. Bearing that in mind, how the fuck are you going to vary that which you assume to be true, which is Earth is spinning? How are you going to vary that?
Sorry.
Yeah, you're not going to vary. You're just a clown who hasn't got the slightest idea what science is. But like all globe-believing muppets, you think your stupid fallacy is science. No, it's not. And within 30 seconds of me asking you what the independent variable was, you've rattled off a presuppositional statement that cannot be varied. You're an idiot. You don't even know what science is. Sit down and shut up. I've had enough of you.
What's the thing you have problem with?
I got a question for you, Capo. Every time you hear the word science, okay, Capo, every time you hear the word science, what do you assume?
The definition or what?
No, you use the word science. You said to Nathan, it's science. What did you mean by that? You must have an assumption. If I say science, what does that conjure in your mind as? What steps did I have to take in order to use that word science on a topic I'm talking about? What are you thinking when you hear that word science?
Okay, so when I use that something is science, is that it has been proved experimentally. And yeah, that may be
okay. Now, Nathan, take over with the scientific method. So let's see if
can I explain how do I get the 15 degree per hour drift?
No, you can't. No, you can't. You failed at every move. You just said.
No, but I can explain it. Why don't you want me to explain it?
Listen, you just said that when you hear the word science, you presume it's been experimented scientifically. Yes or no?
Sure.
What is your independent variable that you manipulated? Can you manipulate the sun?
I mean, no, I don't think so.
Okay, it's over then. You can't use that word with what you said, your presupposition, and it's not science because you can't manipulate the sun.
Yeah, therefore not science.
Yeah, so why did you say it? Just trying to grease the skids for your bullshit presupposition. Just a fundy fuckwit lying to my audience. Says it's science. No, it's your begging the question fallacy. Not science, mate. But you come here and you abuse that term with your globe belief, because typically you'll get away with it. Well, I'm making shit up and assuming a load of stuff that I'm going to try and claim is proven after I assume it all. So based on all of my assumptions, here's my claim to be fucking experiment, and it's science. No, it isn't. You absolute clown.
Okay, so if you want...
Is that it? Is that my concession? Okay, so moving on. It is not science. Now we want an apology. You're either a liar or incompetent. Which one is it?
I'm not.
What you said was wrong. Stop. Now you're going to have an answer.
Explain everything.
Stop. Now you are going to get a dose of humility from me. You said it was science.
Please.
You're a belligerent little prick, aren't you? Don't like being wrong.
How do you want me to do science?
What's your wrong? What is your problem, you belligerent little prick?
You're the one that's claiming science, bro. Do you not understand how you just snatched your own head off?
You were wrong, right? Now you're going to concede that shit that you claimed here. You claimed a load of presuppositional arguments, which I pointed out immediately. You didn't understand, so I had to explain it several times. Then after it, you had the nerve to tell my audience it was science. All of your begging the question fallacies are not science. Now you're going to damn well concede that. You also gave an independent variable as Earth turn, something that you presupposed and cannot be varied, making you absolutely beyond incompetent. So how dare you say science here? You don't even know what it is. Now you're going to concede that and have an ounce of humility.
Okay, so first, how do you get the... can I explain how do I get the 15-degree and the...
What can you explain? You're begging the question fallacy. You've called science incorrectly again. No! You've called it science and it isn't. It's an outrage. It's the very lie you've been deceived by, I was deceived by, and everyone here was deceived by. People coming along and saying, I'm going to assume a load of crap. But at the end, I'll claim science. It's a total outrage. But yet you think that the defence to that, when I demand a bit of humility, is to ask if you can beg the question again. It's a total outrage. It wasn't science. You realise you can't vary that which you assume Earth turn? No, you cannot. So definitely not an experiment. Can't even be varied. So you're an idiot, and I want to know if you appreciate how stupid that is. Before we move on, before you definitely get an opportunity to beg the question again, it's total outrage.
Can I explain the things you have problem with? The turn or whatever.
Science. You said it. You haven't got it.
I got it. I got it. Can I explain?
I asked you what your independent variable was already, and you told me Earth turn. That which has already come to fruition and passed, it's in the fucking past, has already been taken to pieces. Now, I appreciate that when being humiliated by a flat earther, you just want another crack of the whip. No, you were already proven wrong. Now you are going to concede that, you belligerent little prick.
So how has it the turn been misproven?
You claim science. I asked for an independent variable. You say Earth turn. Something that A has already been pointed out on at this particular moment about 5 times as a presupposition. It's also incapable of being varied. So cannot possibly be an independent variable in an experiment. So therefore not science. That's the 3rd time I've explained how wrong you are. So don't ask me for another crack of the whip. Concede your ignorance, idiot.
And how do you explain that the Earth doesn't turn? I can explain why it does turn, but can I?
Sorry, and that's going to be done with your claim of science that it was. We are focused. You're stupid. I mean, you're literally thick. Have I got to beat this into you 25 times? You claimed... shall slow it right down. Let's say it with a smile, right? See if that works. Take a different tact. Hey, Dumbo! You claim science! Woohoo! Well, when it came to actually providing something that would make it science, you failed miserably. You gave us a variable that can't be varied, making it nonsense, definitely not science. And I'm asking you for the 5th time as you interrupt me to concede your nonsense. So how are you going to get on, clown? Maybe ask me for another crack of the whip. Maybe tell me you can prove Earth turn when you've already claimed it as science, it's already been taken to pieces, and you're still yet to concede it because you don't have an ounce of humility, because you're being asked by a flat earther. So why the hell should you concede your total error, your ignorance of science, and your claim that Earth curve and it's turning 15 degrees an hour is going to give you a variable? It isn't. 6 times, mate. How many more times before you have an ounce of humility and admit you were wrong about your science you haven't got?
Okay, a beautiful speech. Now, can I explain how the Earth does turn and how to measure it?
Sorry, what, move past your error? Why would you want to do that, you complete coward?
Because I couldn't explain it, so I want to explain it now. And
I asked you what?
That,
sorry,
I
stop.
can
That's a lie.
My
stop.
Positions.
Stop. That's a complete lie. Don't lie. Why are you now lying?
I'm not lying.
So I didn't ask you what your independent variable was.
But the independent variable of what? I didn't.
You stuttering little bitch! Don't fucking lie! Yeah, you absolutely got the opportunity to explain how it was science. It just wasn't. Now you're going to concede that, not stutter and stammer while a flat earther expresses his outrage at you for the 7th time. What you claimed as science wasn't, and you're going to concede that. Not continually and perpetually ask for another crack of the whip. Or ask for another opportunity, as you put it, to prove that we are spinning. You've already claimed science, it's already been proven wrong, and you're failing, because you're a complete coward, to have a slightest bit of humility in your error. What a coward.
Okay, so as I said my claim, it wasn't science because I was just talking...
Sorry, you're now telling me that your claim you made that was taken apart is now not a claim?
Prove that those numbers are right.
Have you just said the claim I made is now not a claim?
Can you repeat, please?
Are you now trying to justify that what you said was science is now not a claim anymore? Is that what you've just said?
I said that since I used numbers that come out of nowhere, quote unquote, it isn't like
quote unquote. Who said numbers come out of nowhere? That has not been said at all. Who are you quoting?
Yes.
Who are you
Let me
quoting?
end.
Who are you quoting?
No, I mean I'm like
What the fuck are you on about? Quote unquote. Who said it?
No, I used that expression wrong. Sorry. The thing I wanted to say was I can prove that the numbers I used in my earlier claim are right. So can I, in order to make it science?
Sorry, the numbers you claimed, you didn't claim any numbers. I asked you what you were going to vary. Earth turn was the answer. That's wrong. You can't vary it. It's a presupposition. That's 8 times. I've told you that. But what, you want to move on and have another... So literally every time I point out that what you've already claimed as science has been pulled apart as not being capable as being varied and being presuppositional, you're just going to ignore that. That's 9 times. It is literally going to be 25 times of me telling you, you've claimed science. It's an outrage. You haven't got it. You've got a presupposition. Why won't you concede that what you said was wrong? Why won't you concede that what you said was science isn't?
Dude.
No, because, I mean... well, you talk...
Capo, all you could do is calculate your presupposition. You can't measure or prove it.
I mean, I can measure it. Conceding that, though. All we get to be convinced we're on a sphere is wankers like this guy and Neil deGrasse Tyson, who open up their vest, show you their magical portrait on it, and claim science. Now, this wanker has just come in, made a shitload of presuppositional statements, and then at the end said it's science. No, it isn't. It's a total outrage. But that's how every one of my audience, including me and every one of the panel, have all been deceived by wankers like you making up stories and then claiming science at the end. And it won't matter that I come along and say, well, if it's science, what's the variable that you're claiming to be varying to prove the cause of the effect? You say Earth turn, absolutely incorrect and preposterous, presuppositional, and cannot be varied. And when I point that out, we have now 10 renditions of how wrong you are and not one concession. What scum you globe believers are. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Okay, so I don't use language, so I may have some trouble explaining it. But the thing
didn't
that
have any trouble calling it science.
The constant at which the Earth turns. The thing
Sorry,
that
you didn't have any trouble calling it science now, did you? That's the point. Sorry, you want to go back onto, without it, just completely ignore me and go back onto trying to prove Earth turns. You didn't have any trouble calling it science. There was no language barrier when you said it was science. And you didn't have any trouble answering my questions when I asked you about what the independent variables. You're lying again. Why are you lying to my audience?
No. The thing, it's science, but
No, it fucking isn't. How dare you? This is not science. You can't vary Earth turn, you stupid clown. Just going to declare it again. What an absolute outrage. No, it is not. So after 10 renditions of why it isn't science, you still think it is?
What's
Yes,
your
because I
definition
mean,
of science?
Yes, because no, it isn't. You gave a variable that's incapable of being varied. How stupid are you? 11 times you've been told. No, it is not.
but I mean, sorry, I
Dude,
didn't.
do you
to say
understand how your
the rate.
own statement, dude? Do you understand how your own statement debunks your own claim, right? Do you understand what's going on here? Like, I get there might be a slight language barrier, but do you really understand? Right? You came here, you claimed science. So the first thing that was asked to you was, what is your independent variable? What did you manipulate? You said Earth turn, right? And then when asked, can you manipulate Earth turn? You said no. You have therefore debunked your claim of science. Do you not get that?
But
like, try real hard to understand, because you just seem to keep repeating the same thing again and again, and you're making yourself sound a little silly, bro. Try to get what we're saying to you. You don't have an independent variable to manipulate. You don't have an experiment.
Yep, but you're damn sure they'll claim it as science when they've made up a story they can't validate and we can disprove with images pulled up by a GIF at a moment's notice. It's still science, though, and in spite of being pointed out how it isn't, he'll claim it indefinitely. And after 11 renditions, he's like, yeah, it's still science, because I believe it's true. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day! Nathan imitates him doing it twice. I was cracking up, man.
Sorry, Chris.
Nathan, can I continue my thing?
What?
No.
No.
Let
me just answer him.
Nathan, please.
No, can I just answer him? Can I answer?
5 minutes.
Can I answer you? You asked me a question. No, you can't. And the reason I'll give. Because you made a claim of science that you didn't have, we took apart, you refused to concede, making you a cunt.
But science is
making
not
you
only
a cunt.
Making
you a cunt. So, cunt, fuck off. You understand me? No, you don't get to continue. You get to be called a cunt by a flat earther, which is what you are. I don't expect anybody to take 11 renditions of the exact same thing, proving beyond all certitude they are incorrect, and have them not concede. You're a complete arsehole. Why would I give you anything you want?
Well, that was rude. And the second thing is...
Go fuck yourself. Rude? Not conceding your error 11 times. That's not fucking rude. But me calling you a cunt, which is precisely what you are, is rude. No, it's a fact. That's what you are.
You're a chanter. You're a chanter. You just want to chant your nonsense.
Yeah. You want to chant non-stop in spite of anything that comes back at you. It doesn't matter how concisely or how many times it's repeated, you get a rebuttal to what you've claimed. You want to plough on through. Well, go fuck yourself. No. I've pulled apart what you already claimed. You refuse to concede it. That makes you an asshole. Now fuck off. Not can I carry on chanting my shit. No.
Okay, so the thing I was trying to say is that science is
why
not
don't
only
you go fuck
independent variables.
yourself? So why don't you go fuck yourself? I don't want to hear you chanting. You chanting religious fundies, right? You think even when I've told you no, you get to hog the mic and babble on incessantly anyway. What part of no don't you understand? That's why. Because you don't take no for an answer. Yeah? Doesn't matter how many times I stop you with your nonsense, point out how it's wrong, and concisely detail why it's wrong for a live audience. You still want to chant. Doesn't matter if I say, no, you're not allowed to. You're going to do it anyway. Yeah? That's what I described you with the word that described you. That's what that type of person is. You.
Got pseudoscience.
Everything that he's got to say after that point is mute.
Yeah. Everything you've got to say after you've claimed science and had it proven wrong is totally moot. But you won't accept that.
I have to say.
Yeah, you've got to babble and chant. I know. I've told you to sit down and shut up. But you've got to babble and chant your religious view 11 more times. I've just had enough of it. I've had enough of chanting fundy religious zealots. That's what you globe believers are. Doesn't matter if you're proven wrong. You're going to plow on anyway, aren't you? No, you're
We're
not.
not interested.
Capo, Nathan welcomes you on another show, but you're done for today. Go listen to this show. Get your
Can you give me 10
in
seconds?
Order. Come back another day.
Yeah,
Can you give me 10 seconds, please?
No!
No!
The only thing I'm going to give you the time to do, I've already given you plenty of opportunity to concede you were wrong when you said science, greasing the skids of your just so presuppositions. And now I'm explaining that to you for a 12th time, and you're already interrupting me. So you think you deserve respect? You don't. 12 renditions of why you're wrong and how you're wrong with any normal person would result in a concession that they were wrong. With you, you expect me to give you more time on the mic. No.
Yes, because I haven't explained myself, and I can prove.
Yeah, that's all you fundies ever say when you're proven wrong. I wasn't given enough chance. I didn't get time to finish. No, what happened was I removed your head. Now you, from the ground bleeding, want to carry on your argument. No. The moment you claim science and you didn't have it, and then refused to concede, we'd carry on with your point. If you had an ounce of humility, and that would be to concede where you were wrong, but you won't. And after 11 renditions, what we got from you was, yeah, it's still science. That's what you told us. That's chanting. That's zealotry.
How can I say I'm wrong if I'm right?
Oh, really? So you can vary Earth turn as an independent variable?
Science is not only...
So just ignore me then. So fell on deaf ears for the audience listening. That's why I called him all those swear words. Short pause, then completely ignores me. Why would it give you any time? Anything that challenges your fundamentalist religious belief is completely ignored. Do you get it yet?
10 seconds.
See, again, I point out that what I've just said's been completely ignored after a short pause. Response isn't to acknowledge what I've said, maybe repeat back what I've said, acknowledge it and then challenge it in rebuttal. It's to say, I need 10 more seconds. Yeah, it's like they've been brainwashed by Rumpus to give that as a rebuttal. When you're pummeled and the response has come, ask for more time.
No, he doesn't think he's
10
wrong,
seconds
Nathan.
and I go. And I will...
No,
you should go.
Just acknowledge that you were wrong when claiming science and then giving a variable that can't be varied. Then you'll get your 10 seconds. Seems reasonable? Completely ignore me. Go on.
10 seconds and I will...
See, totally ignored me. So my request as the host of the fucking show gets completely rumpus by my own panel in the first instance, but ultimately speaking is completely ignored. I say I've proven you wrong, I've demonstrated it 14 times, I've given you detailed explanations of how and why you're wrong, and I explain it again. There'll be another short pause after I do it or an interruption when I do it now, right? Can you vary the variable you gave us when saying it was science? That would be Earth turn.
No.
So it's not science then?
You can measure constants.
So ignore me and tell me what you can measure. So you've just ignored me. Devastating conclusion. So it's not science then. I say, can you give me a variable? Can it be varied? No. So it's not science then. Well, the measurements, blah, blah, blah. That makes you a CUNT.
Measuring is not varying.
A variable? Yeah, the clue is in the title. Yeah? Now, you can't vary that which you said was science, and the variable can't be varied. So it's not science. It's been 15 times.
It's only a flesh wound.
You can measure things that are constant.
So it's another short pause and completely ignore the devastating rebuttal. Maybe ask for more time. Say you didn't get a chance to speak.
And then you can completely ignore
and then
my
talk through
rebuttal.
your opponent when he points out that you've ignored him again. So talk through me when I point out that no, a short pause and then to talk about what you can calculate isn't a concession that what you gave as a variable can't be varied, therefore not science. No, you're still hesitant to actually concede.
He's mixing pseudoscience.
Honestly, I don't even think he understands what the variables are in it.
Exactly.
What are the parts? What are the parts of an experiment, man? What are the three constituent
know what
parts of an
variable
experiment?
means?
You can measure constants. You can measure constants.
What are
Well,
the
then it's not
three
scientific. You're
different
just
parts?
measuring.
Why not?
You're answering a what is
I don't
question,
need a
not
debate with
not a
him, right? I don't need to
cause-effect
reopen the
question.
debate about what science is or isn't, right? We all understand the word variable. Now, it's not like it's implied. It means to fucking vary it. And he can't, so he's wrong. There's no two ways about this. It's just taking 16 attempts to get him to say, yeah, I understand, flat earther. You've proven how my greasing the skids of my presupposition by saying it's science was wrong. An outrage. That's what I'm describing it as. But no, it's going to take 30 attempts, isn't it? I doubt 25 will do it. 17 so far, mate. You were wrong. It's not science. You can't vary that which you assumed.
You can measure constants.
So ignore me after another short pause. You've already told me no, you can't vary it, therefore your claim's void. It wasn't science. You were wrong. Don't go on to tell me about what you can measure. We've got you to say no, I can't vary the variable. Wasn't science, you were wrong.
You can measure constants.
So tell me another short pause, and then he tells me what we can
Stop saying
measure.
that, bro. Are you serious?
Yeah, he is serious. That's zealotry. He is serious because in his mind, this is still science. So he can't possibly say, no, I was wrong, it wasn't science. Because he still thinks it is.
Because it is.
See? Told you. Right on cue.
He doesn't even know which one is a constant.
I know that's what I'm saying. He said you can't manipulate the independent, but you can measure the constant.
Well, he's actually
You can
trying
measure
to
a constant
he's actually
that
trying to
makes
red
things
herring.
vary.
And I heard him attempt to red herring by saying, well, you can measure this, or, well, science isn't just. But at the end of the day, the first question is, oh, yeah, we're turning, and that's the cause of sunsets. How do you know? Can you vary anything? No, you cannot.
And he said no.
Okay, the end.
His own words.
He's trying to red
You
herring.
vary
That's the only thing.
You know what?
he
He doesn't know what constant
position of
variables
the
are
Earth,
either.
and
It's just
that
said-
is varied because of the constant of the rotation of the Earth.
Sorry,
but
it's
you have to
varied
measure the
because
constant in order to
bear with
explain
me.
the.
God, you can't shut up after you make your statements. It's varied because of the constant. Right. What is a constant variable?
A number that is always the same.
Wrong.
But I mean, constant variable. That's not that doesn't at least as far as I know. I mean, there are constants
So you
and
don't know.
variables, but
So
a
you don't
constant
know.
is a number.
So you
always
don't know.
the same.
So just say, I don't know.
Nathan is dumb and doesn't know what science is. You have a good day.
Oh, the ad hominem attack. That's another logical fallacy.
So that was it the
He's
whole
gone.
time. You're dumb and you
Yeah.
don't know what science is. Wow.
That's what this boils down to, Neil. Right? He can't concede to me because he thinks I'm dumb. So conceding to me, even with every ounce of fury I can muster, is absolutely off the table for a zealot. Because to him, I'm dumb. It doesn't matter that my leading questions annihilate his position in every instance. That doesn't matter because I'm a flat earther, right? So it's absolutely it's disallowed. You cannot concede to a flat earther. They're stupid. How could you be wrong and I be right? Yeah? So at the end of your annihilation, you just declare that I'm dumb and don't understand science. I asked you what a constant variable is. You don't know.
That was a perfect example of pride.
He just wants you to beg the question. Oh, please, can we just beg the question and move on?
Great.
Yeah.
He can't, he shan't, he chant.
Gorgeous.
Sorry, you told me I don't understand science. What's a constant variable? You're looking it up on Google. You've had plenty of time to look it up now, Dumbo, who doesn't understand science, claims it when he's greasing the skids of his just so stories he's made up. So, what's a constant variable? You've just claimed I don't know what science is. Nobody else
Nathan,
talk.
I think the last statement came out of his mouth was an indication of the pain.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's pride.
Let him tell us what a constant variable is, please, sir.
Has he gone?
Back?
Has he run away?
He can't,
Oh, he's
chant,
gone? Oh,
and
okay.
he chant.
Has he run away?
Yeah, that was a rage quit.
He rage quit. After calling me dumb, saying I don't understand science, after not being able to explain what a constant variable is, even though his last position in rebuttal was to say it's a constant that causes the variable. That's what his most recent rebuttal was. It's pathetic. These idiots haven't got the slightest idea what science is, but yet they demand that we're dumb and don't understand science. Why? Well, because I just came here with a just so story and called it science, and obviously you don't understand it. I'm obviously smarter than you, flat earthers. Yeah, until we humiliate you. And then an audience has to listen to 18 renditions of the same rebuttal that pulls apart your argument without you conceding it. It's just embarrassing.
He came in.
I almost feel bad for him.
He doesn't know what a geometric horizon is, as his method has absolutely nothing to do with the horizon being geometric. If the horizon was geometric, you wouldn't need to do silly little demonstrations to prove it. It would just be obvious. You know, if it was geometric, then it would follow a certain geometry, and that would be that. You wouldn't have to have a hard time trying to find this geometric horizon or measure it. To measure to it, you wouldn't need any of that. You know, he doesn't know what a geometric horizon is. He's trying to prove something that he doesn't even know what it is.
Well, yeah. Why isn't a measurement of the horizon constant? Why? What about that, bucko?
Well, no one claims we see actual physical geometry.
Yeah, well, now I'll start pointing that out. Now I've had plenty of fundies say exactly that. Yeah, we've got hundreds of hours. What's that on screen right now? Oh, there's Al Baruni's diagram, where he claims to have measured the physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve. And what do you know? Hundreds of hours of debate where people drew tangents to the horizon and called it Earth curve. Nice that I've got lots and lots of clips of you now telling us how we don't claim it's horizons, they're Earth curve. Oh, how joyful. Yeah, you do. It's your claim. In the first instance, it was debunked by the Black Swan. But now we're at the point where you're telling us nobody claims it, which is beautiful.
I need to correct John, though. We do see physical geometry. It's just not spherical geometry because it's not there.
His actual sentence was, you don't need a physical geometric horizon to measure the radius.
My first question was, what radius?
Well, they really need to drag you into the mathematical.
Sorry, John. Can I just get Chocolate to repeat what he just said? Because that was the perfect summary to the end of it.
Yeah, as soon as he started talking, he started it off with, well, you can measure the radius, and I don't know if you could hear me, but I said, well, what radius?
I heard you.
Yeah,
I think he meant presuppose the radius.
Exactly. As soon as you say, well, I can measure the radius, so what? Based on your presupposition that we're on a ball with a radius then? So we're already on a ball and it's already got a radius, it's just a case of measuring it. Right.
And you measure it with the sun.
Well, isn't that what...
And then said, I can explain my presupposition.
What?
Like, those aren't good things, right?
No.
Like, I don't think he gets it.
Isn't that what Eratosthenes did? Pre-assumed he's on a sphere to measure the shadow.
Correct.
But you can measure a shadow and not be on the sphere, and that means the sun's at a different angle. That's all.
It's every argument. It's not just Aristophanes or any. It's all of them. Every argument, without exception, that's claimed to prove a sphere starts with the presupposition that you're on a sphere.
Yep.
Right. The second trick is to draw you into a false dichotomy. When he starts bringing up like mathematical models, he kept trying to do that. Every time he brought up numbers, he was just trying to grease the skids to slip in a model.
Yeah, he's trying to get you on the model.
Well, he kept on saying measurement. He didn't measure anything. He calculated something off of jumping on the ground and jumping up, jumping on the ground, jumping up. He just calculated something. He didn't measure anything. There was no physical measurement done. So he didn't do anything. But yet, that's the radius. That has no geometric horizon connected to it.
Listen, he knows that the sun is a ball of gas. He knows what he's talking about. The guy's good.
What was Chris Berry want to say earlier?
He's still here.
No, he left.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
he
had
had
to
a
go,
presentation
I
to do.
guess.
He had something to say. So did Super Mario. But
Once he evoked science, Nathan started in. He didn't get it. Then, when I asked him a question, what does that mean to him? He says, "You mean when I hear the word science? Yeah. Well, that means it's scientifically proven." Oh, good. Now let's go through the method. And then he failed again. I mean, it's just amazing. They want to use that word, like Nathan always says, as a cloak for everything.
Well, Nathan, then how does the sun? How do you think the sun moves, Nathan?
Well, it was worse than that, then, because he actually said that the things were experimentally proven when you asked him to define what the word science conjures in his mind.
Right. Well, that's why he got stuck.
But he doesn't know what scientifically or experimentally proven means. He doesn't know what an experiment is. He thinks lying down on the beach and then jumping up and calculating something is an experiment.
Correct. He doesn't know what science is. So I asked him to define science. What's your definition of science?
Well, I don't think science answers what is questions, does it?
Yeah, it's cause and effect.
So if you're not trying to answer a cause and effect question, then you're not particularly doing science.
That's correct.
Then it's not science.
Well, he claimed a causal nature to the sun's movement. That's where he got tripped up.
Correct.
That was funny when he was shocked. What? No.
Well, when I pointed out that quote, the sun doesn't move.
You went, what? No.
Wait. Earth movement, sun movement. What is the sun? Is it moving or is just the sighting moving?
Nathan, I give you credit. You don't let nothing get by.
Is there some kind of object moving?
Who knows? I have no idea what the sun is.
He contradicted and double spoke. Like when Nathan said to him, "I thought you said the sun wasn't moving at all, and now you're measuring its movement."
That's what I'm talking about.
So I know what you're talking about, but that's what you're talking about. It's like they're willing to do that. They're willing to completely change from one side to the other. It's like two teams playing, and they're running from one team to another. And it doesn't matter which side they score a goal for, they're still going to claim a win for whoever they want. It's ridiculous.
It gets worse than that. In celestial navigation, they tell you that it's a lot easier to do navigation if you assume the sun is moving and the earth is stationary and motionless, while at the same time telling you live on a sphere that's turning.
Madness. It's madness.
It is madness. See, what he reminded me of is almost like brainwashed Nazi youth. They would turn in their parents, they would do all kinds of things until after the war when they realized, oh my gosh, I believed all that stuff and I did all those things thinking I was standing for truth. And he came on the show today and he evoked science. When questioned what it was, he said, well, it's something that's scientifically proven. When questioned what that was, the independent variable. When questioned what did you vary, he admitted you can't vary the earth turning to prove his point. And then he doubled back and pretended nothing happened and ended the show with the real reason he came here.
Yeah, to call me dumb. That's really why they come.
I was just going to say that. Nathan is dumb and he don't know what science is. Bye.
My shit is, who are they trying to explain this shit to us or to themselves? Like, what is his angle here?
The angle was, Chocolate, that I took from it was that he's in so much pain if Nathan is right.
Yeah.
Give me 10 more seconds.
Gaslighting themselves. You know, they have to, if they retreat, they have to first tell you you're wrong about everything so they can forget about it. Gaslighting themselves.
If you just give me 10 seconds, I will explain.
You know, it's funny because he sounds just like Samurai. It's like this new type of Glober that doesn't know anything, but they just have to keep asserting things.
Samurai was getting fed by Rumpus yesterday. I'm telling you.
Oh my God.
That's
I
the scary
They
part.
sound very alike to me.
Well,
their methods of how they try to debate.
No, he
Very
was
similar.
feeding them because he popped in right after Rumpus popped in.
Well,
I
I'm not
know
talking about with Rumpus. I don't know about that. I'm just saying Samurai and this guy today, they sound very similar in their methods, how they try to debate this.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying yesterday.
But that method, they know how to do that thing, right? That method, it's not that hard to copy it off somebody and do that as well, because it, on average, is kind of successful. It works on a whole lot of people, you know. In here, they end up gaslighting themselves because we're not buying it, but they have to believe it, right? That's part of the trick. It's part of the chant.
Spot on. Most of the time, by about the third repetition, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. By that time, most people are so worn down that they'll allow them to carry on with the nonsense even after it's been debunked. So you get somebody, I'm not going to name any names, but somewhere else, and the person makes the assertion, they claim it's science, the person asks them for their independent variable, they say it can't be varied, and then they say, well, it's not science then. And if the response is something along the lines of, it is, give me 10 seconds to explain, and then I'll give you the numbers, right? They might challenge it once more, maybe even twice more. But at some point, it'll be let go. And the guy will leave with the same exact belief, well, I've given them science. And he's ignored the 3 renditions. It becomes more obvious to an audience, and perhaps to the opponent, after about the 10th rendition. Because they're zealots.
Yeah, well, he's going to be on the after show, and believe me, he's going to get his 10 seconds, and he's going to explain the whole thing. It happens.
Yeah, but aren't they passing the word around? Like, this is not the place for that. Why would you come here and try to pull that crap off?
Are
you serious?
We just covered that, Chocolate. The reason is because he's got something that he thinks is juicy, and his real motive is to tell me how stupid I am at the end, because I'm causing him pain. Literally. And the way he feels that he can relieve that pain is by proving me wrong just once and then calling me stupid. That's why so many of them latch onto a faux pas that I make. You know, don't get me wrong, I've said some pretty dumb things, normally in the heat of discussion, or when I'm more relaxed. You just end up saying something incorrectly, a faux pas. Now, they'll latch onto a faux pas and take solace in it. Look, he's obviously stupid, therefore nothing he says about the Earth being demolished as a sphere is true. That's their logic.
It is.
Right. They're like moths to our flame, or they're like balloons to a pin. You know, they know what happens when they get near, but they just can't help themselves.
That's what.
Or this is training ground for the new trolls.
It's always been the stick, though, isn't it? With anyone, with us, it's always been character assassination. So they look for something like Nathan's Like they got onto Nathan about some stupid thing I won't mention, and it's just like in the heat of the moment you can make silly mistakes. I made one only a few nights ago, a silly mistake when I was trying to do something that had the wrong value in someone. I couldn't figure something out. It was a silly thing, but you can do that in the heat of the moment. But they latch onto that and use it as a character assassination, and that's what they do. They have to character assassinate people who are saying what we're saying, because if they don't, people might start listening and taking it serious.
To form a fallacy, it's an ad hominem attack. So rather than addressing an argument that you put forward, say the guy's an idiot.
Well, they do that in school too. When they
What was that, John?
They do it in school.
I said when they do it in school, like when they show the map with boats falling off the edge, you know, and they say Christopher Columbus figured out it was a sphere in 1492 or whatever ridiculous thing your teacher told you. It made it sound like flat earthers were idiots.
Well, that's their method. Indoctrination through national school system. Get them young, globe in every class, pictures, orthographic view. Come home, talk to the parents. Parents say something opposite. Kids say, ha, I'm going to school. You're paying for my education. You're dumb. You don't know what you're saying. And this is what happens, especially when they go to higher education, college, after, you know, the normal while they're at home. When they go away, kids are like, for the first time, can't handle freedom because they've always had a home to go to, parents to answer to. Now they're out there, now they're partying, they're doing whatever, and then they come every Thanksgiving or whatever, and I've experienced this with cousins and nephews. They'll say something at the dinner table at a holiday meal, and they'll say, well, who told you that? And where did you get that? And how do you know it's real? Did you vet it out? Did you check it? I've gotten into more clashes with people who are relatives of mine just by questioning where they got the information without even the debate starting. They freak out because
because they don't expect it. People expect that you can just say these things and people will accept it of them, not try to create a conflict. Right? So they're just not used to people actually inquiring.
Hold on.
You're inquiring?
Hold on. Guys in G+ with your mics wide open. I can't hear a word of what's being said. I can just hear background noise from Neil and Eli.
Nope, that wasn't me. That was Neil breathing.
Wasn't me.
New Yorkers.
Wasn't me. I was going to say something, but you guys just don't shut up.
It was you, Neil.
Well, I'm going to say my piece.
Okay, please.
Hold on.
Can I just hear the end of Arwin's thought? Go ahead, Arwin. I want to actually hear what he's saying.
I don't even remember what I was saying now.
It was beautiful, man. It's the meaning of life.
I was just going to ask
42.
Do you remember when Sleeping Warrior was debating those two college kids? That's what it kind of reminds me of.
Arwin, you were saying, yes. Yeah.
Oh, I remember now. Yeah. About people in general. So not guys like us that hang around conspiracy websites that are really curious about information, but just the general sheep public, doesn't necessarily have to be stupid, out there. They're just used to socializing. And in a lot of general socializing, there's so much information out there that people can't keep track. So every time now, or most of the times, when somebody brings up a story about something, they can just say whatever they want, the people they're confronted with, unless it happens to be their professional field or something. They're just going to let them talk. Like, just let it go, because, you don't really understand. Well, people like us, we're super curious. We're always trying to figure it out. Like, always trying to puzzle everything. They're not used to that.
What you're saying is people are bullshitters. That's what you're basically saying.
You suddenly respond like this.
Bullshitters.
Can I add
I'll never
something?
rob a bank with Eli.
And that translates very well to other things other than flat earth. That's why people always tell me, yo, you ask a lot of questions, man. I'm like, yeah, I know. Because I like to verify what the hell I'm talking about or what you're talking about. Why aren't you asking the same questions I am, is my question to you.
Right.
I think
we aren't testing this.
All right. I've been waiting since Christopher Columbus.
Go ahead, my bad. 1492, yes.
Wow, 500 years, man.
Don't rumpus Eli. Go ahead, Eli.
So I mean, I'm not giving them Christopher Columbus. Okay, my teacher said Christopher Columbus discovered. Where did you get that information from? Like, because as far as I'm concerned, it could have been that he had a paradigm in which everyone knew the shipping lanes and the routes, and they knew where they could go specifically, and that was all they knew. So to an explorer, it's like, well, if I go outside of this, I might get lost. I might never come back. Some of my friends have left and never come back. So perhaps Christopher Columbus, being the explorer he was, simply found out that under his current paradigm, it was a lie. He could go further. He could go elsewhere and find land. What the hell does that have to do with the ball?
Very little.
Nothing at all.
Well, there was people went before him anyway, so he knew that had happened. He had information, but prior to that people had gone to where he went. So,
well, my point was that they were, as kids, we were told stories that in which they tried to make flat earthers look uneducated and stupid, and that was an example of one of those stories. But that's the reason people come to this subject the way they do, is because they assume that we're all morons.
Right.
A common theme I've heard recently on other not flat earth related stuff on YouTube, I've heard things being mentioned that people are not just going to jump and say the world is flat. They're going to actually scientifically do their own research and not just jump on something. And there's no elaboration after. I've heard the same type of statement several different times, and there's no elaboration after this point. It's purely just that statement. They don't state then whether it's flat or a globe. They just state, I'm not going to jump on something and say it's flat. That means that they went looking for information. They couldn't prove their globe, but they wouldn't state that it was flat. Right? That's what's going on. So they're trying to character assassinate us in a way as being people who don't put in any effort or research. We just go, it's flat for no particular reason whatsoever, at random, and everyone just we all just believe that for nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, but the truth is that they went looking into it, and then the things they found, the bit they were able to find, they decided to kind of push away, but yet they couldn't exactly prove in any way the thing that they wanted there to be real, which is their globe. So they're kind of on the fence, but they don't want to be.
Yeah, but it's changing, because now my wife was telling me that one of the homeschool moms said that they're actually teaching flat earth as fact in some of the colleges.
Wow. Interesting point. With that, though, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!